Hi everyone and welcome back. I'm Rachel Ryan and I hope you're enjoying these videos. Be sure to check out the other video vlogs that I've done. The first one I did was 5 things you might not know about Rachel Ryan. The second one was why do I write about what I write about. The third one is what are my capabilities in the workforce. The fourth one, what are my other interests outside of mass communicating. This is my 5th video blog and today I'm going to be talking about Twitter and Facebook. When I opened my first account, which is RyanR09, back in January of 2009, I didn't quite know what I was doing exactly. I didn't quite know how to interact with people or really how to utilize the tool. There were people, they're using it for marketing purposes, pitching purposes, logging into Foursquare, uploading pictures. Just some also tweeted quotes all day long. And then some used it for extensive hashtags. For those of you who do not know what a Twitter hashtag is, it's basically the # and then there's a phrase or a word in front of it. And it's about a certain topic people are talking about on Twitter. When you first log into Twitter, there is a scrolling headline, and all the headlines that are in that scroll are of topics being talked about on Twitter. The biggest challenge with Twitter that I found when I first logged in, and also the reason I have it as RyanR09 is because that's the year I graduated and I couldn't do Rachel Ryan. That's why I made that Twitter handle. But getting back to the biggest challenge with Twitter, for me it was finding the right people to connect with, and it's not necessarily all about reading what their biography is and then scrolling through their tweets. It's a little bit more tricky than that to find the right people to connect with. What I do now is I look at whether or not they have a website. Do they have a business? Do they have a blog? Do I like their blog? If I do, I subscribe to it. Earlier this year, one of my former professors, who I'm connected with on Twitter, she tweeted about a guy named Andrew Miller. He's a former Maverick, and I decided to connect with him. Why? First off, his Twitter handle is @the_Miller Times. Why I connected with him is because he has consistency and we have a lot in common, especially with our backgrounds as far as our educational background is concerned. He's a journalist, I believe. He blogs daily, and I just like his vibe and I like what he talks about. And he seems like a really real person, so that's why I follow him. And I also know that we can learn from each other. I think that that's one thing that people forget with Twitter is that you can use it to build relationships. And when you have priorities with intentions and you use your time wisely, you can definitely grow and create new relationships within Twitter. And some are there simply to make a lot of annoying noise, which is very unfortunate. People will tune you out. P.S. I have a list of people in a Word document, and it's about 5 pages long, of people that just made noise. And I have more cleaning up to do, but I've found that the people that I'm following on there that I've built relationships with, whether or not they're into what I'm into, if I've built a relationship with them, I'm going to continue talking to them and connecting with them on Twitter. But I want to continue building my relationship, like I said, with the people that I'm following. And I also want people to understand who I am, why I'm connecting with them, and I also want to follow people who take social media seriously. And as for tweet ups, I don't go to these very often. Why? It's my time, it's my money, I have a job. If a tweet up is at 8 o'clock, I have to be at work by 9:30. And if it's up in Minneapolis, it's just not going to work. I do my best to keep in touch with people through just shooting them an email or something. I would rather read a blog or an email or do my own research instead of going to tweet ups and then blogging about what I found out there, who I've met, or what we had in common, or if it was a great experience. And I still believe in old-fashioned ways of contacting people. And I definitely believe that shooting email or sending a text, better yet, picking up the phone. It's very simple. Make it a priority when you want to connect with someone. Make it a priority, but with intentions. And don't wait to get noticed. Make noise and be proactive. When it comes to Facebook, I get really annoyed. It's for a couple of reasons. The first one being, if you're doing dishes or eating, that's great. You're cleaning, you're satisfying your hunger. Unless it has something to do with a major event you're at, or you're with a bunch of people and it's within a content of other tweets that you're tweeting about, I don't want to hear it, and other people don't want to hear it. Second one is creating invites on Facebook. If you haven't spoken to someone in 6 months or ever, and you invite them to something, what are you doing? Really, what are you doing? People check out of social media. They check out of LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, etc. By check out, I mean take a vacation from social media, because sometimes we need to do that. And we want to step back into the real world. If you really want to connect with someone, or are even looking for an excuse to connect, go out of your way just for the first time and ask for that person's email and make it a personal connection. I believe that old-fashioned ways of connecting are very important. If you really care about someone and you really want them at your event, go out of your way to ask them what their email is, send them a message, let them know what you're doing, say hi, be friendly. Also, you can also do snail mail when it comes to inviting people to events. Obviously, what I mean by snail mail is putting a postage stamp on the package that you're sending out or the envelope that you're sending out. Slow is sometimes good. It also leaves room for excitement. It leaves room for anticipation and progression. And it has a little bit more sense of reassurance, at least for me it does, or at least in my eyes. Plus, you get to design the invitation. So you have creative control over it, and then you have control over how people are receiving. And when you use snail mail, people are definitely receiving it in the mail. They're physically holding on to it. They see it, and then they're more likely to respond. And I just want to ask a couple of questions here. What happened to personal invitations? Do you still use them? Do you prefer email? Do you prefer snail mail? What about Evite? Have you used Evite? Does it depend on the event? What is acceptable to you? Those are a couple of questions that I have. Thank you for tuning in again. Next time I'm going to be talking about how I'm using every hour, every day to my benefit as best as I can, and how my schedule isn't very easy to work with, and I'm sure that there's other people in the same exact boat, and I want you to kind of get an idea as to how I use my time as wisely as possible. Questions, comments, feel free to comment on this video blog, or go ahead and go comment on my actual blog itself, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thanks again for tuning in.